Tonight, please rise with the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Yangstrom?
Here.
Councilman Zipprich?
Here.
Councilwoman Morgan? Here. Councilwoman Schwabenbauer? Here. Councilman Taylor?
Here.
Councilman Whalen?
Here. Sunshine State.
Let the minutes reflect that in compliance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting has been provided by notifying the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, and the Star Ledger by placing a notice on the bulletin board and calling same with the Borough Clerk on January 1, 2017.
Thank you. One agenda item. Ordinance 2017-25 is the public hearing and final adoption for that ordinance, and it's been advertised as such. That ordinance deals with certain weight restrictions on Bridge Avenue. It has been introduced and it has been published, however, it has not been adopted. A few minutes ago, and for a couple of meetings, I met with a substantial number of commercial residents and owners of commercial properties and businesses in the area that are affected, who raised some questions regarding radii of turning in the proposed route. They raised questions concerning the adequacy of the tonnage limit and a number of different logistical questions in terms of traffic flow and patterns if the ordinance is adopted. Clearly, I believe that the ordinance in some fashion should be adopted, will be adopted. However, in light of those questions and in light of the Chief's previous comments concerning that ordinance, I would recommend that we open it up for public hearing. However, we carry the public hearing to the next council meeting for further discussions with the commercial owners on Central Avenue and on Pearl Street, with the chief and with the borough engineer, the traffic safety officer, and myself, and then we will continue the public hearing to the next council meeting now, which is when? August 23rd at 6:30 p.m. Is there anybody on the dais that has any objection to that procedural methodology? I think it makes sense in light of some of the concerns that have been raised that are legitimate, and I think we can carve out a solution, but it can only be carved out if we talk to people, and so I'm prepared. Any members of the public that were here specifically to address that ordinance, because that ordinance will not be adopted this evening, will be carried to the next council meeting at which there will be public comment. So anybody who wishes to ask any questions on that ordinance or have any comment? I don't see any. So therefore, with that, is there a motion to table ordinance 2017-25?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That ordinance then, Pam, is carried to when?
August 23rd.
August 23rd at 6:30 p.m. Thank you. And we will be having a meeting with all the affected commercial owners. That's the only agenda item that I have. Workshop says West Front Street. Who is addressing? Well, yeah, that's not really West Front Street. My concern is, it says West Front Street, but it's really Monmouth County Highway from Middletown to Red Bank on the bridge. Hubbard Avenue has been closed for the greater part of a month and a half. The bridge is open, but Hubbard Avenue, for whatever reason, they're doing work in Middletown, and they were supposed to reopen it on July 14th, and here we are a month later, it's still closed. The inescapable problem, I don't know if the rest of the council is getting calls, but I certainly am getting calls from irate residents and commuters, and mostly residents of Middletown, frankly, who are stuck in a bottleneck every morning from 7:30 to 10 o'clock in the morning, and every night from about 5 o'clock to 6:30 at night, because there is no traffic control directing any greater flow of traffic on Hubbard Avenue, or redirecting the Middletown traffic to areas before you get to Hubbard Avenue. I really think it calls out for traffic control by the county, since it's a county road, or by Middletown because it's a Middletown road, to at least deflect the traffic that is not coming into Red Bank but going into Middletown by using side roads. I know that's probably going to be an inconvenience to residents in River Plaza, but frankly, when you got hundreds of people being inconvenienced every morning and every afternoon, and the traffic logjam there is just unbelievable, I think it cries out for us to do something. I requested the chief to have dialogue. I know he's been trying his best, but I don't know what else to do. The county has not been receptive at all, even though it's a county road. Middletown certainly will not be putting any traffic safety officers to deflect the situation, according to what I've been told by the chief and by the administrator.
Mayor, I did have conversations with the county engineer and Freeholder Arnaud, both regarding requesting that they put variable message signs far ahead of the existing detours. They're detouring the traffic so they can keep Sinclair Road through Red Bank. So
that's my concern. We've
Exactly.
dealt with it for months, so it's about time we cut it off.
I've asked them to, if you could divert the southbound traffic from Middletown either to Middletown Eastcroft Road, farther up Highway 35, and or to exit 114 if they're trying to get to the Parkway, as opposed to exit 109 through Red Bank. They're trying to alleviate the traffic jams. I've also asked them to put signage with the westbound traffic on Porter Road to tell people that there's traffic delays in the area of Hubbard. They asked that those people can also divert far ahead of the intersection of Bridge Avenue and Rector Place, so to try to also alleviate the congestion. They said that they would take care of that, and they need to follow up to see if those signs have been placed. We did ask Freeholder Arnaud about using sheriff's officers to help direct traffic on the Red Bank side due to the constraints. He advised me to have the police chief contact the sheriff, and the police chief met with negative results with regard to that. He said he don't have the staff to do that. This is the contract to the county, and using contractors to the county. Continues, one thing we haven't looked at is asking the county to require the contractors to pay for this on the Red Bank side to help, at least if the traffic is slow in one direction, perhaps they control the lights and move the traffic in the jam direction. I think that's the next step if we don't get some success.
Well, I can tell you we're not going to get any success from Middletown or from the county. They've already said no. So the question is, what do we do? I mean, it's just, they're going to say, well, the contract's going to be concluded on July 14th. And here we are, August 14th, it's still not going to be concluded, and nobody knows why it's not concluded. It's like a repetition of the bridge project. So, I mean, there has to be some accountability somewhere at the county or at New Jersey American Water, which is doing the works, or at Middletown. And I'm just looking for answers on behalf of a lot of these people who are frustrated because they are stuck every day. And these, by the way, the same people who are traveling in Bergen County and in Hudson County, and these projects happen every day, 365 days out of the year, and there are police officers that are manually redirecting traffic to move along, and somehow in Monmouth County, the Sheriff's Department can't roll up its sleeves and help a municipality on a county road. It's unfathomable. Right. I mean, I just think enough is enough, is what I'm saying. I don't even know if it's the department, to be honest with you. Yeah. I mean, don't you guys get the same complaints? No? No, I'm talking about our residents. Well, you're already on the boat, but
To Stanley's comment earlier, I noticed because I use that corridor quite often. There are signs, and they are out on Half Mile Road, and they are faced in the westerly direction as the intersection at Half Mile Road and Front Street with Warren. So I can only guess that they complied with your request.
Well, those are signs.
Those are the signs that are working. They should be placed in the peripheries before you get to that area. By the time you get there, it's too late to change your course. That's what he's saying.
They're informational, and they tell you when the construction's going on. So the driver that uses that corridor would then be aware that they catch the sign of the right.
Yeah, what I asked is that there be more, that additional signs be more remote, so that prior to getting to that area, they can divert ahead of that area, so the congestion doesn't pile up. So I'll follow up with the engineer tomorrow, and I'll ask about whether or not they can require the contractor to provide police direction on our side.
Yeah, because we do it when we do it. I don't know why Middletown didn't do it. Okay. Anything else for workshop? If not, gentlemen that are here on ordinance 2017-25, I already made the announcement that we will be carrying that, taking no further action. So you're welcome to stay for the meeting, but no action is going to be taken. It's going to be discussed and acted upon after we have our meeting, but certainly at the council meeting of August 23rd at 6:30 p.m. So thank you for providing me your concerns, but I think they're legitimate, as I said on the record earlier. Thank you. Moving on to approval of the minutes for July 12, 2017. Motion. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? July 26,
Hold on.
2017.
What do you mean? When? We deserve a date.
You did. I said August 23rd.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I said. July 26, 2017. Motion for minutes. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? August 1st, 2017. Motion. Second. All in favor? There are no appointments. Reports of mayor and council committee members. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The summer series will continue on Thursday with Dan Levinson's Hot Five. Performance will start at 7 p.m. at Riverside Gardens Park. Concerts will continue for 2 more Thursdays at 7 throughout the summer. In case of weather, we'll make sure to make a call by 4 p.m. So check out the website or the Facebook site. The next movie in the park is Minions. It should start about 8:10, depending on the darkness. So we invite all families to do a doubleheader with National Night Out in the movies. Count Basie 365 returns Friday, August 25th. The Bell Johnson Trio will be playing at 6 p.m. at Johnny Jazz Park on Shrewsbury Ave. This is a free concert and all are invited. And then Dog Days return August 29th at 6 p.m. on Monmouth Street. So be on the lookout and for all the dogs around Monmouth Street on that night. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed?
No real report there. I just wanted to congratulate everybody on a very successful Indie Street Film Festival, New Crossing Borders Festival, and the Tour of the Theater last weekend. Both events attracted a diverse crowd and were really enjoyable weekend events. And congratulations to the winners of the Indie Street Film Festival.
Thank you. Kathy?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing about the library. You'll see on the agenda tonight that there is a resolution which will be appointing a part-time library assistant and part-time library page, and this will allow the library to extend its hours of operation. So this is very good news, and I know the library is very happy about it. So you'll be able to go to the library even more often. I don't know what the times are, but the dates at this point.
Thank you, Kathy. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Just a quick note. I just want to say another year, another successful National Night Out. I want to thank the Red Bank PBA as well as the Red Bank Fire Department for putting on a fun night. Chief and I were in the dunk tank along with our fellow participants. It was a lot of fun, cold water, but it was, hair got messy. Unfortunately, I had to go home and blow dry it. But it was definitely a fun night, and also want to thank the Red Bank businesses. There's not an event that Red Bank doesn't host where a group of businesses don't donate to, or whether it's their time, resources, whether it's food or whatever it is. Every time Red Bank holds an event, whether it's the schools or the borough, the businesses in our community are the first ones to come and donate. So thank you to the cops, the firemen, the businesses, great community event. Thanks.
Thank you. Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick note on the Environmental Commission. We are full steam ahead with the Green Team, trying to get our certification for Sustainable Jersey. Also, there's going to be a primary school cleanup, back to school cleanup on August 26th. That's a Saturday from 9 to 2. We already have a couple of businesses in the local area donating contributing to that cleanup effort. And I want to just recognize John Drucker. There was a structure fire on Leonard Avenue back in March. The property's been sitting in, the county knocked the building down. It was an unsafe structure, and it was sitting in a pile of junk, kind of a hazardous state. John's been very diligent in following up with the current homeowner and the demo contractor. We actually had to issue a penalty order, and that finally got them moving, and the site is, in the last 3 days, has been cleaned up tremendously. I just went by before the meeting tonight to look at the progress. I just want to commend him for his efforts. So that's what I have. We're going to try to schedule a code meeting as well. We have a couple of quality of life issues that we're going to be addressing, kind of a suite of code provisions and some new ideas that are coming into the discussion. So we'll hopefully look for those in the near future.
Has the abandoned property ordinance list been published to the rest of the council yet? List of properties that have been noticed?
I do not know.
There is a list. So
Yes.
That should go out to each of the council members, because some of the council members may perhaps know of other properties that should be on that list, and it would be helpful to help your department do its job as they are. If we know something.
Certainly, and not just the council members, any resident who lives near or is aware of an abandoned or vacant structure, feel free to call the town, let us know, call the building or code department, and let us know so we can get active.
Well, that's why I said, if there is a list of those properties that have already been noticed and either have replied or haven't replied, that's not the issue, but at least that they've been noticed, at least we have a baseline of properties so that people call and say, well, one Smith Street has been vacant for 20 years. Why aren't you doing something on it? Somebody can say it's already been noticed.
Well, yes, there is a list. I don't know if it's been published. That's the only part of your question.
Well, I think we should have it.
Share with the council.
I think it's fine.
We're going to the council.
Yeah, I think it's public record anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, the first week after it was published, I think there were 30-something residential and 18 commercial. The amount of money was flipped.
Yeah, no, I think it's a helpful tool. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. Linda.
The Finance Committee is accepting resumes for the Borough Administrator job. It's not well known, but it's the Finance and Personnel Committee. That's why it comes to us. But we have quite a few already, and that'll be open for a while. That's also been posted on the Borough website, I believe. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. And I noted Ed mentioned the Indie Film Festival, and Kathy spoke quite eloquently about that the last council meeting, but Red Bank did also make its artistic mark on the world stage as well as the national media this Saturday with Kevin Smith lookalike contest of 200. I was stupid. I should have listened to Mike Whalen, and Mike Whalen probably would advise me to wear a Kevin Smith backhead band on my head with a fake wig, and would have been 285 Kevin Smith lookalikes. But I'm not hip enough.
Would have been a contender.
I would have been a contender. Well, I have this shape. But no, it was a fun thing, and the media was from all over the country, and we can laugh about that, but what we shouldn't. What's very important for us is not just the Kevin's loyalty to Red Bank and Jason's loyalty to Red Bank, but also the fact that they put their money where their mouth is. And unlike people who talk and say, I'm from Red Bank, and then go back to wherever they come from, and don't put their money in Red Bank, Kevin Smith puts his money in Red Bank, and this is how he does it. View Askew produces everything out of its production facilities in space in Red Bank, which I had the pleasure of touring, and had the pleasure, which I didn't know before, but there are about 30 employees, full-time employees, of VOSQ production, both on their podcasts as well as their nationwide webcasts that they do, and their videos that they streamline, or they do something with them. I don't know what, but that they do it in these facilities in Red Bank. And these are men and women who are very talented, very creative. They're of all ages and all different backgrounds, and they spend their money in Red Bank, and they work here 40, 50, 60 hours a week in these facilities, and they're happy to do so. I didn't know that VOSQ did that type of work in Red Bank, but besides that's the visual thing. There's production facilities off of those premises, and 30 people contribute to our economy by working in our downtown. So I thought that was an extraordinary message. And what's that? And they're eating, yeah.
Yeah, you can send them to dish and to table.
Oh, I think that
See those guys, make sure they go down the block.
they do. And a lot of them are vegetarians, which includes pescatarians. So, but it was fun. It was really a lot of fun. And also, I know that again, we're talking about the arts because it puts us on the cutting edge. But the Monmouth Film Festival is having its activities this weekend, and you know, that's Nick Marchese is an extraordinarily talented young man who's really taken something from nothing and developed it. So we're looking forward to helping him out on that too. Yeah, that's true. Yes. Okay. Anything else? Communications and petitions then. Request from JJ Organic Grill to hold open a grand opening on August 12th. Permission to hang a banner. Motion. So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Request from Boondocks Fishery to use the spaces in the Marine Park on September 10th to accommodate registration for a dog show at their establishment. I presume it's a dog talent show, dog fashion show, whatever, but we'll be there. Motion. So moved. Second. All in favor? Request from Elm Place residents to hold a black party on September 16th. So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. Request from Red Bank Public School District to hold a preschool Olympic parade at Council BC on October 5th. Motion. Second. Any opposed? Then there's a request from Rumson Boat Race to solicit and hang signage throughout the business district to promote their regatta event in Rumson to be held on September 23rd. This is not a banner. This is something that we want to put outside of every store and hang it. The recommendation is that it be denied, but the committee can't deny things. Only the council will also have a motion to deny. Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, any members of the public have any comments on any ordinances or resolution on for discussion this evening? Again, the ordinance 2017-25 is tabled for tonight. It's going to be heard on August 23rd at 6:30 p.m. Other than that, the ordinances will have a public hearing individually, but now's the time for any resolutions. Seeing none, motion closed. Second. All in favor? Moving on to ordinances for public hearing. Ordinance 2017-20, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 665 concerning trees to include additional regulations regarding trees located on borough property and the borough right-of-ways. This was introduced, was amended by our planner, reviewed by the planning board, now it's back up for public discussion. Any members of the public have any questions or concerns or statements regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, motion to close. Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to adopt. So moved. Second. Roll call.
Councilman Ingstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Zipperich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Schwabenbauer?
Yes.
Councilman Taylor?
Yes.
Councilwoman Whalen?
Yes.
Ordinance, the ordinance is adopted. Ordinance 2017-26, authorizing the leasing of certain capital equipment by the borough from the Monmouth County Improvement Authority for the execution of the lease and agreement regarding capital equipment. Any members of the public wish to be heard on this particular ordinance? If not, motion to close. Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ordinance 2017-27 2017-25. Motion to adopt. 26, rather. Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Sorry, just a motion.
Ed did.
Okay. Councilman Youngstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Zifrich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan? Yes. Councilwoman Schwabenbauer?
Yes.
Councilman Taylor?
Yes.
Councilman Webb?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Ordinance 2017-27, also an ordinance authorizing the use of certain capital equipment by the borough from the Baldwin County Improvement Authority and the execution of lease agreement relating thereto concerning the acquisition of police cars, which we do on a rotating basis every year. Any members of the public wish to be heard on this ordinance? If not, motion to close. Second. All in favor? Motion to adopt. Motion. Go ahead. Second. Roll call.
Councilman Youngstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Zifrich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan? Yes. Councilwoman Schwabenbauer?
Yes.
Councilman Taylor?
Yes.
Councilman Webb?
Yes.
And finally, ordinance 2017-28, ordinance authorizing the guarantee by the Borough of Red Bank for payment of principal and interest on capital equipment lease revenue bond series 2017 for the Red Bank project of Monmouth County Improvement Authority. Any members of the public wish to be heard on this ordinance? If not, motion closed. Second. All in favor? Motion to adopt. Second. Roll call.
Councilman Youngstrom?
Yes.
Councilman Zifrich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan? Yes. Councilwoman Schwabenbauer?
Yes.
Councilman Taylor?
Yes.
Councilman Webb?
Yes.
Ordinance is adopted. Resolutions by consent unless there's any objection by any member of the council, in which case the resolution full would be resolution 17-181, 182, and 183. Motion? Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And finally, resolution 17-184 is a resolution appointing part-time library assistant to part-time library page pursuant to the report of the councilwoman report.
Mayor, can I just ask a question on that?
Sure. Well, let's have a motion first. Second? Okay, now you can ask a question.
Will these additional personnel hires help with some of the matters that DPU has been filling in with at the library? Okay, so we're still going to have to send personnel over there to set up and do tables and that kind of stuff? Yeah.
Might be. I'm not sure. I'll find out.
Okay.
Okay. Money is in the budget.
I'm just trying to, I know we have personnel issues,
I
we
know.
keep sending
I
people to the
know.
library to
I
help
know.
them out, and it's distracting
It's
from
an
other issues, yeah.
I think, unless Kathy knows more, I think that these are technical assistants administratively for the library itself. So you're asking whether or not DPU.
I just think the library employees should be handling library responsibilities instead of other departments in the town having sent
No,
them
but
out.
didn't you ask for DPU employees?
We're sending DPU employees to the library almost every day, several times a day in some cases, to help them with things like setting up chairs. And I'm hoping that the library staff can maintain their own facility.
Unless it's capital stuff, it would seem that an assistant librarian can set up chairs, but, that's something internally that we can, I thought you were talking about, for landscaping and stuff like that. Yeah.
Generally,
Yeah.
the public works department goes there to take care of custodial issues, but since we've been doing that, as Mark pointed out, the librarians have been asking for additional support from an understaffed department. I think that's Mark's concern.
Yeah, that's Mark's concern, that's my concern too. Okay. Any proclamations? Okay, motion second, all in favor? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any proclamations? None. Any additional resolutions? Before we go on the resolution for payment of bills, does anybody know what a voucher for $700 for Fossil is? Yeah, Fossil Incorporated, a museum reproduction company, what that is? And what about Joomla? No, it's a reproduction company. Yeah, but what is it?
Charles.
Somebody approved it, don't we know what it is?
Yeah, we have a fossil science trip coming out.
You have to come up, Charles.
Don't film yet, stains all over the back. It's for a summer camp trip. They're coming out and they teach the kids fossil. I think that's what it is. They come out and they do sciencey fossil exploring for the summer camp purpose.
Okay, so it's Parks and Rec.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's not that somebody's creating a sculpture of a reproduction of fossil.
No, sir.
Okay, but that's what the, and how about Joomla connection? What is that?
I don't think that one's mine.
Good effort, Chairman.
Somebody says it's an app. Joomla connection, an app for $830. With Joomla. It's on the voucher list, yeah. Joomla connection, $830.
It's a website hosting service, similar to WordPress.
It's probably IT.
Yeah, I was going to say that. What it is. It's a web thing.
It's what?
It's a web thing. It's a tool for, communicating with the web. World Wide Web.
I know that, but somebody approved it, so somebody should know what it is, in case a member of the public asks.
Joomla is a mobile-ready and user-friendly way to build your website.
So we need it.
Our site's built.
It's a very common thing for IT departments to want.
Okay. Motion? Second? Yeah. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Any old business? Any new business? Audience? Mr. Forrest?
How do I get these to work, Mr. Mayor?
Push it on the bottom. Hold it in. Hold it in for a second.
I know what you're doing until the window lights up.
Hold it until the image comes.
Hello?
There you go.
Okay.
I'm doing IT.
I don't do AV stuff very often, mainly Macs. Anyway, so I use my 5 minutes quick here. I have some questions and concerns again about the parking deck. We didn't have an update the last time. I'm not sure what you can say, but I guess I'd direct this to the mayor, but of course, if you allow Mr. Whalen to jump in, I'd welcome that. I don't know if I haven't seen any dates or publications or announcements of when we might have public meetings on this, and we had the one meeting where everything was introduced, but there was no Q&A there. And, I've had more questions than I could get answers to. I, run out of my time here. We're limited to 5 minutes. And plus, for whatever reason, the parking committee is not really, I guess they're in negotiations. I don't know what it is, but we're getting very little information. The one hearing that was held by the Red Bank Business Association, and there was talk there openly about changes to some of these proposals. And in fact, some of the artwork that was on display there was clearly changed from, what we saw here. So I'd like some sort of mechanism for some sort of updates of what's happening, what decisions are kind of happening. Maybe there should be options, or perhaps the chairman of the committee should, come up with a couple of plans that you're looking at and try to get some feedback from all of us in Red Bank, community, businesses, whatever. The other thing is I was, reading the Two River Times as well as the website, and I have to say when, River Center letter seems pretty shocked. I was pretty shocked to read it, and we're doing this for the business community in large part, not just the residents, and it seems to me if they're not on board, that's a really big problem, and I do kind of wonder about the viability of this whole thing. I know there was some nuance in the letter, and I guess some of you are on the River Center, so maybe you know some stuff I don't know, but if they're not on board with these 5 proposals, why are we, I wonder if this is an exercise in, a waste of everyone's time. Okay. The other, so I'm kind of concerned. I'm open-minded to the idea of having maybe some kind of project there, But there's a lot of really big questions. And, you know, there's the infrastructure questions, how big it is. And we've all talked about this a few times, but I also wonder, are we really looking at the whole picture here? Because we have to find a solution for the employees that's affordable for employees who are generally not paid that well in town. And also for the Red Bank Catholic students that are mostly using the White Street parking lot. And if we build some kind of structure to put them in, there needs to be a way that students can park in there that's affordable and employees, so that we can have easy parking for people, you know, like myself, who like to go into town on Mondays and have lunch, but when we go there in January and December, there's no available parking sometimes because these spots are ironically filled up by employees and students. And I know that we want to maximize the amount of money that we're getting from the parking lot, and that's why we allow the people to park there for more than 4 hours at a time, even though it says there's a 4-hour total limit. But I think we should make sure that these lots fulfill the needs of these businesses so they remain viable, not just maximizing the profits, if you like, or the revenue of the town. I say that because I know it's going to cost me some money, but we need to find something that looks at these particular issues and make sure that we don't build some $12 or 2-hour parking deck that means that the students and employees are going to be scattered around the town desperately trying to park everywhere. And these questions are being asked, but we really haven't had an opportunity, certainly not officially, to have any input. And, you know, that's kind of it in a nutshell, Mr. Mayor, and I'm hoping you can give me some light on some of this. And also, you might be the deciding vote here. If it looks like it's 3-3, although I really wonder if it's a good idea to build something that's going to change the typography of our town so much, the character of this whole area here, if it's just a 3 to, I don't know how you're going to vote, Mr. Mayor, and don't tell me. But, you know, I think something this big should just be more than the bare minimum to pass it. It's much healthier for the town. And I kind of wonder if maybe the smart play here might be some sort of restart, creating some sort of stakeholder thing so that we build some consensus around it. I do think we can prove there's a parking problem. I know that there's some of my fellow residents who say, I can always find parking. And you know, in 40 minutes I did a little video that I shared and took pictures on Facebook that I think...
Could we wrap it up? It's about...
Yes, but that's the other problem. You know, we have limits on how much we can testify, and I'd like to get some questions and answers, and not... I think it's important that we do this publicly and not just go to Mr. Whalen or privately. And I know we have a private conversation with me, and I appreciate that, Councilman, but I think we should do a lot of this in public, because this is a big public question on a lot of levels.
Absolutely correct, and there will be a public forum. The matter is still under discussion. No decision has been made. Thank you.
Okay.
Since I'm catching the mic, I'll take it. Thank you. Good evening. Tom Fishkin from Reedy's, Chief Bonus Slicer, and River Center Board member also. Thank you, Ben, for starting things off. I want to speak to your comments. First of all, for those of you who didn't see the article or ad in the paper this week, or this past week, River Center is not opposed to any 5 of the RFPs per se. We are opposed in their current, the way they're set up currently. They don't meet the criteria of the original RFP process, minimum parking, and so on and so forth. We are also not in favor of no dialogue, something that Ben alluded to. We are not the governing body of the town for residents or anyone. We are a special improvement district that tries to look after the needs of our constituents the best we can. We're trying to pull everybody together. When we meet and have meetings and discussions about certain topics, at the end of the meeting, there's not always complete agreement, but we move forward. It's a lot more complicated, certainly, than some of the issues that you folks have to entertain. But our organization, as well as the rest of the business community, and probably the residential community, would like to see a little more unity, probably, with the governing body. So, I mean, if I were to poll all 7 of you up here, I think you all kind of agree that maybe a parking structure of some type is necessary. I would hope so anyway. So I guess what River Center did this past week was we want to see something from the entire governing body, a come together effect to get to that end. Whether it be pure parking, mixed use, or whatever, because everybody certainly has a different opinion. But The RFP, the expiration for the submittance at time was April 7th or something like that, 4 months ago. So 4 months have passed, elections are probably 4 months away, and then it'll be another, I don't have to tell you how time flies. And, comes right after Labor Day, I don't see anything happening because, again, it's the sacred election time. So we would like to see, which is why we put that out in the paper, we want to see something happen. We want to see a groundswell. We have met with more than a few residents who really are getting behind parking a deck of sorts. Not sure what they want, not sure how they want to pay for it, but there is a movement, I think, maybe in this entire room, if I could be so bold to say so, that everyone kind of recognizes the need for a structure of parking in town. And we would like to see that happen, and we look forward to hearing back from Mayor and Council with that effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Sir.
Yes.
All right.
My name is John Werner. I live in town at Riverside Towers. And myself and I believe if everyone would raise their hand, are boat owners down in Marine Park. And lately we've been having a lot of theft. I've had probably, 3 incidents so far this year. Yesterday I think about $1,200 worth of electronics was stolen. Anybody can get on the boats. There's teenagers on the boats. There are people that throw in lines. Something needs to be done to protect the boats a little bit.
And Mr. Warner, your boat is in a horseshoe?
It is in a horseshoe along with everyone else.
Yes, okay.
And
so there's been vandalism at your boat and other boats?
3 times, and I believe other people had vandalism also.
Okay.
And we brought this up to Charlie. I'm sure his hands are...
Well, yeah, and before we leave tonight, I know that the chief of police is here and Mr. Hoffman here. It might be beyond Mr. Hoffman himself right now, so we're going to have a little discussion and see what we can do to...
Okay, yeah, well, we would appreciate it. I think so.
Not only presence, but see if we can take some measures, but I think that Commissioner Whalen is probably jumping in on something.
I'm just going to piggyback on what you said, and if you want to stay till after the meeting, if we have time, we're going to set up something else, the chief and I will come down and do anything we can.
I think we can privately talk because it's a personal issue in terms of your property, but it also affects the rest of the
well, it's also going to be a liability for the township because
of course.
Everybody agrees that people are stepping on your boat, they're going to fall, they're walking out on these bulkheads, and then it's just a lot of people down there that no. I mean, Charlie just put signs up, which are good. I mean, the signs are good, but does that deter anybody? Who knows?
So let's talk after the meeting, and we'll just a few seconds before you leave.
Can I just continue?
Of course, just introduce your name because we're on
Yes,
tape.
my name is Jacqueline Mattis, and we started putting our boat in the marina last year. And on several occasions, people used the hose there. They wound up breaking the hose. They broke the hose again this year. We have to replace it again. We found a drug baggie on one of our seats on the boat one night. I was told by one of my neighbors next to me in one of the slips from last year that he witnessed teenagers going down there late at night, boat hopping on all the boats. In the beginning of the season, I believe I had some correspondence with Charles and Oscar, and they told me that a grant had been passed to possibly put up some fencing, and I don't know what happened to that. I had that in an email, so I'm just curious, like, what happened with that?
Nothing. I mean, I don't know of any, but we'll stick around after and we'll see.
Okay, and the other issue too is I've witnessed on several occasions during like events that are down in Marine Park, toddlers go running, and sometimes the parents just grab them before they hit the water. I mean, literally 3 separate occasions. My heart drops every time. I mean, it's a liability to the town if anything happens like that. So.
Thank you.
Can I get your address for the record?
I live on Spring Street.
Thank you. Yes, Scott.
What am I hitting here? Nothing. Scott Brochard, 15 Hudson Ave, Red Bank. There's a couple of good points that Ben over here made. The first one is kind of short-term issues with parking in White Street that I really hope that you guys take a look at and strongly consider as far as moving them to other lots in town. And then the second thing, I just wanted to comment on what he said in regards to restarting the process. I think that'll just be a colossal failure, and I'm mostly addressing this side of the docket for a reason. I think it'll be a colossal failure to do such a thing just because how much more time can we waste? I mean, I've seen letters going back to 1998 from Mayor McKenna that was addressed to a restaurant, basically acknowledging that there's a serious parking problem and that they're working on fixing it. And that was 1998, and still nothing has happened. So to start the process over would be idiotic. That's all.
Thank you, Scott. Anybody else? Ms. Costa.
Rose Costa, 140 River Road, Red Bank. I don't know if this is the correct forum for this, but I have a question for the council. I've had an ongoing issue with Holy Trinity Lutheran Church. My understanding is that if they're going to be using their property for dedicated use for hospital employees, that is in fact a change of use. This has been going on for quite some time. The hospital has more than adequate employee parking behind the dialysis building. I'm not talking about the valet parking. I'm talking behind the building. And the 3 floors that they have of the building, the garage building. I cannot understand why this continues to go on. It's insane that they can be there a few minutes after 7 o'clock in the morning with their beeping, their good mornings, their whatevers. Their doors are slamming on their cars. They're not trying to make a problem. It just is 15 feet from our windows. My understanding from many, many meetings, they are not supposed to be operating before 8 o'clock in the morning. They are. They're there for at least 12 hours, some of them. There are cars coming in and out. If they're going to be doing this and they want to become an educating hospital, this hospital needs to find the appropriate parking for these people. It is not the responsibility of the community to shoulder this.
Ms. Costa, can I just address it?
Please do.
Because I should note that you did bring that to my attention. After you brought it to my attention, I brought it to the attention not only of our planner, Glenn Carter, but also code enforcement. They advised me that they spoke to you in terms of their investigation. Their investigation was that whatever had been going on is no longer continuing, and that it was a temporary situation, frankly, that was not authorized or permitted by the borough, yet whatever was happening happened, and you did bring it to our attention.
This is still continuing. Who in code is responsible for this?
Would be Stanley Sickles' department through Tom Welsh and the code enforcement officers, but Glenn Carter had supervised the review with the church. And
Well, Glenn Carter advised me that this was private property and they could do whatever they pleased.
That is incorrect, because private property that is being used for a commercial endeavor, such as a parking lot for another facility, is certainly supposed to be acting upon and subject to whatever ordinances guide that particular use, especially when that private property is almost also in a residential area. So in other words, just to give you an example, St. Anthony's, before it expanded its parking lot across the street, that used to be Agnes Oakley's old house.
Right.
And she deeded it to the church. They wanted to expand the parking. They came before the planning board authorized it with restrictions. So even though it's private property, the zoning ordinances apply to private property, even if it's a religious institution. So my understanding is that whatever was happening for a couple of months, and as you know, I live down the street, so I kept on seeing those cars at 6:30 in the morning. I'm saying, boy,
They're still there.
this is a very, very faithful church, because they have, you know, services at 6 o'clock in the morning, but then I realized they were all walking off site. They weren't going to the church. So whatever happened, from what I understand, has been curtailed. And I haven't seen that many cars.
Could we ask the code department to advise them, and I'd like to see a letter to that effect, because it has not ceased.
The problem is, Mayor, that they're not charging for those spaces.
Doesn't matter.
These are students that the church offered the parking for these nursing students, the park as they go to Riverview for their in-service training. So the issue is, it's not a commercial lot because they aren't charging for the parking, you know? It's a very gray area in the code.
Line.
It's a
Well-
gray area in the code.
I'd like to remind Mr. Sickles that approximately 16 years ago, the church pulled another stunt. They had people who they were not charging for parking at 70 East Front Street, and they had them there in the morning at 6:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. And they had to cease because it was a change of use. They cannot do whatever they want, whenever they feel like it, and they do. They have had cars that have parked there for days on end. It doesn't matter whether they're charging or not, they are abusing the situation.
I hear what Ms. Costa is saying, and again, I've spoken to Mr. Carter, and he told me that it was ceased, that they are no longer doing it.
That's not
However,
true.
maybe we ought to meet with him and you and see what the real story is, including code, because I think that the borough attorney's opinion on it might be important at the end of the day instead of just going.
Right. Because as far as I know, it's just considered a change of use.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Ms. Burnham?
Good evening. Cindy Burnham, 71 Wallace Street. I just want to make you aware, all of the council, as to what's going on in the historic residential district, which is Mechanic, Washington, Wallace, and Spring. And we are getting a lot of people, employees, coming down there to park all day, from 9 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. And they park, you know, in front of our houses. There's a lot of owner occupied, and it's really an infringement. But I was talking to one of the parkers today, and she told me that they've been told to park in the residential area because even if you get a $38 ticket, it's cheaper than paying a pay station. So I would, for the day, this is what she told me. So what I would like to just throw out to you all again is that whether we get a garage or not, or when, we do need long-term parking for employees. And I urge you to make the east side lots, you know, employee-friendly. Where do these employees park all day, you know? And give them a special rate and let them park over there, and that'll open up a lot of spaces too. And send the Red Bank Catholic kids over there too. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Scully.
Suzanne Visconti, 25 Cedar Street. Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to follow up from the discussion at the last council meeting. I have pictures.
Glad you are, because I was going to bring it up. Go ahead.
I have pictures of a possible different option than spending over $1,000 on the second meter. A town that I know of, they have a little adapter that they put to the end of the hose to fill up for the pool, and then you're not getting taxed on something you're not using. And then I also just Googled it, and I went to Home Depot, and you get the same adapter for $10. So in lieu of a meter, let's look at.
I'm not as computer savvy as you are, my dear. However, I did look it up. I didn't find these, and I found some for $200. So I might have to go on Amazon like you. But what I was going to bring up, and I did in workshop, but it's appropriate even now because it's old business. I would like a report from somebody. I don't care if it's the Director of Public Works. I don't care if it's the CFO. I don't care if it's the administrator. By the next council meeting as to how much it would cost a property owner to hook up to the new systems once they have the new metering device for the irrigation system. The representations was made that it was going to cost $1,500. I did a lookup afterwards. I saw that was in the minutes when we adopted the ordinance against substantial opposition. There's a question mark now by some people as to whether or not we did it. We did it. We weren't dreaming. So the question is, now that we've done it, there's no, I spoke to another town that did the same thing. They said there's no logical reason why you have to wait till 100% of the homeowners sign up to this new system so you can put this metering device on an individual that has already signed up for it. They said, that makes no logical sense. So I'd like a report by the next council meeting as to when people can start signing up, how much it's going to cost them, and what the procedure is. It shouldn't be that difficult when we're spending $2 million to bond for something. We can't get answers like this.
Stanley, in that same regard, wouldn't that information be available from the bid package with the alternate bid spec on that reverse payment?
Yes, and we'll review the specs and we'll give the accurate information. The $1,500 for us to install pit meters, should we not be able to get access, and should we have to add the meters from the outside. So it's not just adding a meter, it was more of we'll give the accurate information, we'll prepare the report that we have requested.
And why does the original contractor have to do the additional meters if the contract is already completed or bid?
Mayor, that cost was if we couldn't get access to the buildings and if the borough chose to put the meter on the exterior of the building, which would involve a pit, and pit meters is the $1,500 cost. So we'll provide the report and give the accurate information for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, on that note, I like how you were easily able to go to the minutes and note that price. With that being said, I just have a question too. I'm happy to see that there's so many new faces here tonight, which is great, and there's so many hot topics. But when you look at the agenda, I know one of the words everyone likes to throw around, especially during election time, is transparency. And I know my GOP friends are big on transparency. So my question is, on a go-forward basis, because people who come to the meetings only get this one handout, and you can peruse the other detailed information, agenda on the table. However, some people come late. My point is, for the ordinance, could we be transparent? So tonight we passed a few bond ordinances. For example, the police cars, which is obviously we need, great, it's good to have more efficient cars. However, the dollar is not on here. So the people in the audience who didn't have time before the agenda details are put onto the website, they don't know how much was ordinance -26 or -27, -28 that we actually spend tonight. And I think everyone likes to throw out the word.
It is. I think it's on site. Isn't it on site?
No, it's not on the, no,
It's
what I'm
on
saying.
the website?
No, I'm saying, could we have it on the paper? Just the dollar on the
In other
paper.
words, on the instructions.
Right, as you just mentioned, you're not computer savvy, so other new people who came to the audience probably didn't realize that up here, and I just like to, No, on the agenda. Right, we don't get this. All these great people who came tonight don't always know to come up here and look, or don't even have, some might have forgotten their glasses and can't read it. I forget.
This isn't after we purchase police cars.
Right, but
She's saying the number should be on the agenda.
just a small dollar. How much do we spend
The
tonight?
numbers in the ordinance, and the agenda lists the ordinances and the resolutions.
I'm not disputing that.
And it's published on the website.
I'm not disputing it, but again.
What she's saying is
Thank you,
that
Mayor.
somebody is not web savvy like me, but web savvy like her, but not like me. They just look at the agenda, they don't get to the ordinance. She's saying, why don't you just put the amount on the agenda? It's not a complicated thing. We can do that.
Right, we all throw out the word transparency, and we don't have it. I mean, it's a simple fix. Also, another thing that everybody claims they're going to do during election time is to make these agendas a little easier, friendly for anyone to pick up and read and say, we're going to buy police cars. How much more we were spending on police cars? An estimate, how much police cars, new ones are we getting? Just a simple breakdown so that a layman person can pick up.
This is the authorization to request funding through a group purchasing of the county. This is not buying the cars.
My example's bad.
Let me finish. We do a separate resolution when we actually purchase the cars, and all that information is on the resolution. And that cost will be, we can include that in the title of the resolution.
Well, then I'm calling out Councilwoman Schwalbenberger, who in past discussions, I believe in public, that to have a simplified form, because she did it in her first year on the council, breaking out maybe even the water meters on what we think everything's going to cost, to have that simplified detail. Because yes, this is more of the legal documents that you are passing, but I think everyone throws out the word transparency. I just hope we start living to it.
Thank you. Mr. Kua?
Good evening, Victor Quo, 91 Broad Street.
Is that your fan? It's a mini-me.
This is Emma, my little one.
I know.
You know, I have a lot to learn in terms of government procedures. I was, you know, I've been sitting here for the past year and a half. I've been watching this, the procedures for the parking to go through. There's a lot of steps that I didn't get, but I learned. We're at a place now where it's been about a year since we started talking about this. We've come a long way. And my question is, can we follow through on what we've done so far? Okay, and if there's a deal breaker, then we can't follow through on it. And then we look at a garage only. You know, look at it as, you know, look at how far we've gone, and then let's look at the next step if we can't do it, or if people don't want it, and then we'll move on. We'll look at it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Mr. Boyd.
Good afternoon. P.O. Box 2074. Listen, can y'all hear me?
No. Speak about the microphone.
Mr. Mena, I'm not here to attack nobody, and I'm in Red Bank all the time, which everybody knows. But today, I seen something that I think you, Stanley, tomorrow morning, you need to go to 75 Chestnut Street. You know, Mr. Miller, back in the day, I hate to keep bringing this up, but you know Mr. Rock, Pete Rock,
yeah,
got hurt in the garbage truck down the hill. And that truck, at that day, I refused to drive it because of brake failure.
Right.
Henry Pier, for a young lady got killed out in Denton Falls with one of the borough garbage trucks. Today, truck 22, Mr. Miller, the tires on that truck as bald as this table. It's a shame for these trucks with that kind of weight to be running up and down these highways. On 35, going out there dumping that brush with tires like this. Mr. Sipples, I'm telling you the truth. You need to go to Chestnut Street tomorrow morning and look at that truck. I even got angry today and asked that driver, why are you driving this truck like this? Another guy said there, he said, that is unsafe. You know what that guy said? Freddie, I pull the sheets out every day.
Fred, can I interrupt you just for a second? I'll let you continue. Chief, is there somebody in the police department staff who is a certified inspector of truck vehicles like the state police has?
Only state police have that authority anywhere.
Do we have an ability to get a state police inspector in to do a municipal inspection?
Probably not tomorrow, but yes, we can work.
Could you please call and let me know if we can get the state police to do an internal inspection of our vehicles?
Sure.
Thank you.
Man, I really appreciate your support and what y'all doing for the safety.
Well, safety is
of all of
important
us.
for all of us. What you're saying is correct. I don't care who's supposed to be inspecting it internally or externally, but if safety is an issue, we want to get to the bottom of it now, not tomorrow.
Mr. Miller, the other thing is, when an employee talks to me, you can't stop them from talking to you. After work, on work. They do it while they're on work, they talk to different people. But when I make a phone call or something, that employee are being abused by the director and the supervisor. He's being attacked for being a whistleblower. Someone need to look into that, because that same person that's being a whistleblower, he may be saving somebody's life. And he's being attacked by telling somebody something. This is simple, that is a shame of. And borough employee should not be attacked by a director or a supervisor. There's reasons for that. And it could be a lawsuit for a supervisor or a director to attack a borough employee. And you know it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Stanley, you're still borough administrator, right?
Yes, sir.
I think that you should follow that up with the director of the Public Works Department.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Okay, we have a need to adjourn to executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn? No formal action will be taken by the board. Second? Second. All in favor? Thank you.